Alrighty. Make sure that this is live. All right. Happy Sunday, y'all. Lewis over here at Martial Artistry. Thank you for joining us. I am your host over here at the Leadership Lounge live show. We do this every Sunday. I'm an airbrush artist as well as an AI and digital artist. And we talk about all things prompt engineering. We talk about AI. We talk about content creation. We have some tough community conversations from time to time. But this is the place where we do that every Sunday at noon Hawaiian Standard Time. I got my other phone today. We are multi-streaming live, so we've got multiple platforms, but I do have access to my comments today. So give me just a second and let me drop some links in the chat. And in the meantime, whoever is watching, let me know where you're watching from. I kind of changed the aesthetic in the background, so I would love your feedback on that as well. We are starting to prepare for an upcoming craft fair, so that is something that is taking effect. I've got a commission that I'm working on that you may have seen last night. But this week, I want to keep this show pretty short, quick, sweet, to the point. And all right, I got both of those in there. All right, so I did do a little bit of research this week on one of my favorite lighting settings. One of the questions that I get most often is, how do you get that ethereal glow within your artwork? So one of the favorite things that I do is, one, I work in Midjourney. Two, I like to focus on lighting in multiple areas of my prompts. And so one of the things that I think is probably my favorite lighting setting is volumetric lighting. So I asked ChatGPT for some pros and cons of volumetric lighting when making an AI generated image, whether you're in chat or you're in Midjourney. This is what it came up with. It said the benefits are you get enhanced realism. Volumetric lighting adds depth and realism to scenes, making them more lifelike and immersive. It also has to do with mood creation. It can dramatically influence the mood and tone of an image, useful in storytelling and artistic expression, which is what most of us do when it comes to creating Midjourney images or images on whatever generator that you choose to use. The third thing was that it helps with focus and depth. It helps in directing the viewer's attention to specific areas of the image, enhancing depth perception. So that's something that I'll use specifically in the eyes. If you follow my journey, you know that part of what I do as an AI artist is I will often do eye studies. And most of the time, I will make those eyes glow with a certain glow. This is the way that I do that a lot of times, with a very unique description of how I want them to flow and guide the viewer's eyes to a very specific area of said image. The cons that it said are, it can be complex. It can complicate the rendering process, potentially increasing the time and computational resources required. And then the other con is that there's overuse. Excessive use might lead to visually cluttered or overly dramatic results that detract from the main subject. So it gave a couple of examples, but I want to just tap in and see, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Is that something that you've used before? What does that look like? For me, I I use it in a variety of different places, mostly in the eyes or the main subject, so that the lighting will pull the viewer's eyes towards that main subject or towards their eyes specifically. Depending on what kind of shot type it is and what the image is about, I'll use it for the main subject or a specific point in the image so that I can kind of guide the viewer's eyes to a very specific point, kind of telling a story without telling a story, if you will. I don't see any questions, so I'm just going to keep on going. A couple of the examples that I've got here are a forest scene with sun rays filtering through trees, creating a mystical atmosphere. The second example is an indoor scene with light streaming through a window, highlighting dust particles in the air, adding a sense of antiquity or abandonment. These are a couple of ways that you could describe it, but it gives you a really good base to work with, especially when you're trying to attract some attention to a very, very specific part of your art. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. Definitely take a minute to share this out with a friend who might get some value out of this. And I just want to pop in and see who's in the chat today. I see we've got Jennifer. She's always in the house being supportive. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Couldn't do this without you. I see Deborah is in the house. She said, I've used volumetric lighting because you suggested it. It seems to work well, but sometimes I still have to go back and try and figure out how to add highlights or get more lighting into the shot. I'll say, Deborah, sometimes what I'll do with regard to that is do that after the fact in the editing process to see if I can push some of the highlights down by increasing my contrast and taking the suggestions that Uriah has made over the course of the last couple of months and saying, like, post production, after you already have created it, you're still going to go back in and edit it. And during that portion of the process, that's where I would make those adjustments. Let me know if that makes sense. Oh, I see you've already responded. Okay, I just want to make sure that kind of makes sense. I'll say for me, I'm learning new ways to enhance that, especially now that we're doing more text to video. I'm including some of those in my descriptions over there in Kling and Luma. And I do want to touch on both of those platforms today, just because I've had a couple of weeks to kind of play around with Kling and then a solid week to play around with Luma. And I want to kind of give my experience on both. Both have advantages, but I have, I think, 3 generations left in Luma because there is a maximum amount that you can create with a free account without upgrading. So give me 2 seconds. So have you guys used Kling? Have you used Luma? And what has your experience been? Let me know in the comments. I'll start personally with Kling and say it's been a journey. The first week was really playing around and getting accustomed to this new prompt structure. The main difference is I have looked at it from an editorial or a producer standpoint, and I'm telling it how I want my scene to be shot, the movements of both the camera and the main subject. And then after the fact, editing it the way that I want it to be in the piece of content. So how I'm prompting in Kling is really just giving it direction, but very specific direction. The first week I started out with very like one sentence, hey, have this specific subject, walking towards the camera, away from the camera, and have the camera follow it. Week two, I went into more of a have this subject in this scene doing this action and have the camera doing this action in a very specific way. Definitely tap into my subscriber hub because I've got a lot more information on how it's broken down. If you're not able to subscribe, you can find these things in the Unleashed AI group in the guide section. I did update both of those last 2 weeks and have a full description. Those are the two places where it talks about the full framework on how to prompt for solid video results. And I've posted quite a bit of video over the last 2-3 weeks or so. I've gotten pretty decent results, just like with the other platforms last year that were brand new. We're doing the training again. So we're having to start from scratch with regard to how it recognizes people of color and give it more data. And that is a process that now that we've done it a couple times, it's kind of frustrating. Um, I will agree with something that Uriah said over the course of the week that he and I have talked. Maybe they should have beta tested this. That way we could work some of the kinks out so it's not so rigid and rough. So the user experience is a little better. But I will say, in comparison to a year ago when we were watching The Rock eat rocks and Will Smith eat spaghetti and that quality of AI video, this has come a long way. And I can appreciate it from a content creation standpoint because it gives me new tools to be able to really own and master my content. So I think that it's a really good tool to get accustomed to, especially if you are a content creator, a business owner, or just somebody who's interested in AI and want to understand more about it. I think this will also be a skill that will be helpful for all of those different individuals for different reasons. I'll say from a content standpoint, it's going to be helpful because you now have the ability to create all of your own B-roll with all of your own characters. So, that has exponential results. As a business, it allows you to shoot and create your own commercials for very limited cost, limited production cost, limited cost on the actors, the editing, etc. That it just limits the cost. For the others, it really just lets you explore your creativity. I always say you're unleashing your creativity, and that's exactly what this tool has allowed me to do over the last couple of weeks. Fast forward then and shout out to Shirley. She suggested in the group, and this was a suggestion that Adama made. Shout out to Adama. Luma as an alternative option for creating text to video and image to video content. And so I dove into that after playing around with Kling for a week or two. Luma has a lot more quality results, but it's still blocky. And how do I explain this? You have to give a more descriptive, detailed prompt to get the results because it's still deciphering between does it make the camera move or does it make the subject move and not necessarily a combination of both. So my results have kind of been all over the place. Some I'll get great results with the subject moving, but the camera won't. Or I'll get great camera movement, but the subject is like static still. There's no breathing, there's no blinking. So it's still hit or miss results. And I'm still, like I said, I'm on the free platform, so I'm limited to the number of creations per day. I will say my personal experience with Kling on the free version was, yeah, I was able to get great results overnight. If I did it at night at 10 o'clock at night, by in the morning, those generations would be done. I'd run some more for during the day until I got home from work. And by the time I got home from work, all of those generations would be done. So my lag time was a little different because of how my workflow is content wise. On the flip side, once I paid that $3 and I don't know, $3.88 for the first 30 days, it got significantly faster. Um, so I have used that to my advantage when I need a piece of content with very specific subjects and I want them to be a very specific way for that edit. I am using Kling because it's just faster. I'll say on the flip side, using the free version of Luma, I had about the same length of time in terms of how long it takes for a video to generate. I have not had the same length of time, however. In Kling, I usually go for the 10 seconds because of how I edit. It gives me more to work with in case there is a glitch, a more fused finger, or the subject morphs and changes into a different person, if you will, because the tech is just still figuring that out. Versus in Luma, where I only have 5 seconds. So as an editor, that gives me from 1 to 3 seconds of workable clip um, before it's like morph and has other issues potentially. So because of how I edit, I prefer Kling, but both products are good products and they just are new tools that we have for our tool belts. But it speaks to we have to now be prepared to prompt in a very different way. You're not going to be able to continue to get those high quality results until you master how to prompt in your unique style. I have a framework that works for me. It allows me to have a very wide variety of things that I prompt for, and I try to make them as real as possible, even if the scene is surreal, so that I can create content that is unique and different every single time, but that doesn't look like anyone else's AI artwork or AI creations. If you will. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. I'll also say that Luma, from a quality of realism, I think is a little better, but that's just my preference. I think in terms of being able to take my mid-journey images that I already have 10 to 15,000 plus images to work with to figure it out and have enough B-roll for whatever piece of content that I'm going to generate that week. So I'll give an example. I am going to clip this live stream up for the subscribers. And so while I'm clipping this live stream up for the subscribers, the B-roll this week is going to be from Kling or from Luma. I need to figure out a way to make those look as real as possible so that I can make it mesh with the original piece of content, which I am a real person. I'm not an AI generated voice or person avatar. So I need the content that I generate to kind of match in quality or be as close as I possibly can. So it's a smoother transition for the viewer. I hope that makes sense. Give me just a sec. So I hope that makes sense in the comments, or for anybody revisiting this later. I will say that I'll say this, how I have really excelled at using these clips is I've already had a set of tools that I've used all year, and those tools have been very consistent. It's ChatGPT, Midjourney, Epidemic Sound for my audio so that I have clean content that I can post across whatever platform. Lightcut for video editing, CapCut for video editing. And since Uriah and I did, I think that was episode 19 and 20 where we did our workshop, I've added in the Photoshop mobile version so that I have the ability to do literally everything on the go and I don't have to sit at a laptop for my editing sessions. But I also have considerably changed my workflow and I'll explain the how and the why. We've been together long enough that you know the mid-journey portion of the process. You know that in order to make it turn into a video, we've got to do some editing. We're going to manipulate things a little bit to make it digestible for the viewer. So now that I'm prompting for video and I'm taking short 10 seconds or less, 15 seconds or less clips, I now have more to work with in CapCut and Lightcut to allow me to manipulate that either into a clip of my own or throw into a template so that I can then turn that template into a clip of my own by making some adjustments in the process. I know that we've got one of our members of our group who has asked for some help with editing in terms of the content that is put in the group and in the subscriber hub. So this week, because I know I've got a lot of edits that I have to do with the live stream today, I think I'm going to screen record some of that process and then break it down into shorter step by step. Here's how I add the music. Here's how I add in an overlay up over the top of my main video track. Here's how I add in my captions. Here's how I add in special effects. And that might help be able to take some people to the next level and give you some creative freedom to, over the holiday season, do your own commercials that don't look like anybody else's commercials that command the attention of the audience. Let me know if that makes sense. And if you're comfortable sharing, what are the tools that you use the most often in your content creation? I know that a lot of people use different image generators, and now I'm seeing there are different video generators. That Runway Gen 3 video to video was absolutely mind blowing. I still can't even fathom how I might use something like that. And I'm really hoping, hey, Sora, if you guys are listening, you should do video to video for us consumers. That would be a super, super helpful tool, especially in this age of content. I prefer to not have to generate new subjects. I would love to just be the main subject so I can learn more about the filming portion behind the scenes as my content creator journey evolves. But as a tool, yeah, video to video, that was crazy this week seeing that and trying to understand, hey, well, how would I use that with my content that I already have? Am I able to repurpose content in a different way? We are here in Hawaii, and so we have a very unique landscape. So would I be able to use that same video as though I'm on another planet in one of my Midjourney creations and turn it into an actual like piece of content or B-roll and expand on that. Because at that point, then you're talking about creating short docu-series or short films with a limited palette of tools. But it circles back to something I said maybe 4 months ago about you're going to need to master the art of prompt engineering for your style. It's going to be more important than ever now that we're making that jump that I predicted back then from creating images to creating video. You're really going to want to dial in what your specific, unique style and settings are, because now it's going to speak a little more because those creations will be moving. Um, I've had a lot of fun this month in my content creation. Let me look, just trying to see how many Kling video. I have 154 Kling videos that I've generated this month of all kinds, from fantasy to realism to dragons, just yesterday and the day before. And they are getting better because I'm getting accustomed to how to describe what I want. And I personally wanted to go beyond just a basic, hey, follow me with the camera, like a cameraman would just like walk behind a person. I wanted to go a little outside the box in terms of how I began to, and I made this suggestion a week ago with my subscribers. Think about what kind of content you want to create first. Generate a plan, but go out and look at the people who are already creating maybe something similar, not the same, but something similar. And what are they using as tools to accomplish that? And start including some of those things in your prompts. I'll give an example. In my cameras that I use in Midjourney, it's typically a Canon EOS. Now that I'm prompting for video, I made the adjustment to the Sony Cine Alta. I'm using that for most everything, and you can write that one down. I will put that in the chat. But that Sony Cine Alta is one that I've used in Midjourney before, but didn't understand why it looks so drastically different than the other cameras when I use it across different shot types. Now using it in Kling and Luma, it's like, oh yeah, this is next level. So hopefully that gives you something to work with this week. I will also shoot a piece of content where I go back into those cinematic cameras and lenses that maybe didn't make sense then, but now will make better sense now that we're using them in the way that they're meant to be used. And it makes it a little easier for the tech, whether it's Luma or Kling or Meta, um, to be able to create what we're looking for. So let me know if that makes sense in the comments. I did mention that I'm out working on a commission. I have a deadline of trying to get this done and cleaned up by tomorrow. So I am going to do a quick recap, and we're going to cut the show a little short this week. But I think I'm going to do a live stream in the middle of the week. It may not be during the day. I think this will be a night session, potentially, or an early morning session. We'll see how that works out. But I'm shooting for adding an additional show in on Thursday, and I will have a surprise for you guys in a way that we can all live in person while watching the live be able to talk with each other back and forth in real time. So today, what we talked about was volumetric lighting, which is one of my faves. Let me just jump back to my notes right quick. It's one of my favorites. It's something that I've used from very early on in my mid journey uh, evolution. I use it in the way to make things glow in a certain way. And the reason that I make it glow in a certain way is how I explained it early in the show. I like to do eye studies. And so I want to try and make the iris and the cornea of the eye glow, but glow in different colors, but blend pretty seamlessly. So volumetric lighting was a way that I was able to make them glow, kind of similar to how my airbrush art glows when I use the transparent colors over the top of white. So what I asked for when I asked chat to just, hey, give me a quick brief synopsis based on how I use it in both my Midjourney prompt structure and framework and my Kling framework, and give me some pros and cons so that they can kind of decipher how do I want to use this and what might this take away from what I'm maybe already doing or enhance what I want to do. So the first thing on the benefit side is that it allows enhanced realism. Volumetric lighting adds depth and realism to scenes, making them more lifelike and immersive. The second thing that it talked about was mood creation. It can dramatically influence the mood and tone of an image, useful in storytelling and artistic expression, which most of us fall into that category. The last thing on the benefit side was focus and depth. It helps in directing the viewer's attention to specific areas of the image, enhancing depth perception. So when we're using a static image, this is a way to enhance that static image and add more layers of depth and allowing people to focus where you want them to focus. So when people are scrolling through the feed and they see your artwork, it actually makes them stop. So on the con side, it says complexity is the number one thing. It can complicate the rendering process, potentially increasing the time and computational resources that are required. So it may take a little longer for that image to generate, is what I understand from that. The other thing is it talks about overuse, and I think that probably is human error, and that's just a Lewis opinion. Overusing it could lead to a visually cluttered or overly dramatic result that detract from the main subject. So it could do the reverse of what you actually want to take place. And that could be user error or user malfunction in putting it in too many places in a prompt. It gave us two examples of volumetric lighting, and I'll add a third one in, and I'm gonna actually copy and paste mine in the chat. So give me 2 seconds. Um, yeah, because I just did this morning. Let me get in my Discord. If you haven't already, you should get tapped into the Martial Artistry Discord. I did post it in the subscriber hub, as well as, sorry, I'm trying to get to this so you can have the exact prompt, just how it's written. Uh, but I'm working on some person. This one doesn't even have it there. But you guys will enjoy this prompt, actually. Let me drop this in the chat. If I can get my Facebook to come back up. Uh, is there a certain aspect ratio? Is there a certain aspect ratio that should be used when making an outside scene and using volumetric lighting? I don't think the aspect ratio really matters. That's kind of your personal preference, I would say. Um, what I have found across all of the image generators is naturally they'll come in a 1 by 1 or a square. I started out using 916, which is the up and down vertical format first, because when I started creating images, I was also trying to use those same images in reels or shorts or flicks. Um, and those videos came out a little more smoothly because the square images would leave a border at the top and a border at the bottom. And I just personally don't like that. That's just me. Um, so I just prompted for almost everything in 916. But then as things progressed and I began to use my images for YouTube thumbnails and Facebook backgrounds and my thumbnails for my Fanbase Plus videos, I found that there was a need to prompt in 16:9 or landscape format. So it kind of just depends what aspect ratio you want to put in. And I would say it would just be based on what kind of piece of content are you creating. Um, I hope that answers your question. Let me finish. I see my guy Uriah's in the house. What's good, brother? Happy Sunday. I am just dropping a prompt in here, and I hear that I forgot to turn off my compressor out there. I am I'm working on a rush commission airbrush wise, and it's on a wheel cover for a RAV4. So it's pretty big and was a little bit bigger than what I had anticipated. So my shop is kind of like wild. Um, but I'm almost done. I did post some pictures last night, and I gotta post some pictures from this morning now that it's actually daylight. But I should be just about finished with that, so I can get back to bottle making. Adama, long time no see. Hello, sis. Hope all is well with you and the fam. I hope the kids are doing good. Hope you're feeling better. Both you and Uriah have been sick over the last month or so. We are getting ready for another craft fair at the end of November. So you're going to see a lot more of the creative process with how I generate these. And for any of the other bottle makers out there, I think I'm going to reopen my martial artistry airbrush group and take it off a pause so that you can see some of the process for how I do my base coating. Uh, I think I will include some tips and tricks for color combinations and on the airbrush side, but I am pretty much in product development now. I'm back to we need to get another batch together for our next craft fair. So I got a little over 2 months now to get another batch together. I think I have about 15 bottles currently going right now in process, but I peeled off of those to get this commission done. I am still obviously managing my own social media along with Jen. So we've got content scheduled out for this week. So be on the lookout. Subscribers, you have got, I think you got 3 days, Monday through Wednesday. Today through Wednesday, you should have three new prompts every day now through Wednesday. I've still got a schedule Thursday and Friday. I will probably get you clips from today's live stream for anybody who came late. I will likely get those out Tuesday. I'm going to shoot for Tuesday or Wednesday. I will say I'll probably need next weekend off because I'm working on a collaboration with some Hawaii creators and getting them onboarded, as well as I'm waiting until the update comes out next Wednesday, but I have a way that we can all talk in real time and watch Leadership Lounge potentially 24 hours a day, where I could just leave Lounge where it's just on. So we got some exciting things coming. Stay tuned. If you don't follow me on the other platforms, go click the link in the bio and definitely get tapped in to me or us, Jen and I, as Martial Artistry on the various platforms so that we can cross connect because I kind of different things going on each platform. This is the main hub. I have another main hub, and then I have my YouTube family and I have my Instagram family, but I want to really have one place where all day, every day, we have Leadership Lounge, AI content, and a place where people can actually tap in and talk in real time. Doesn't matter what time zone you're in, doesn't matter where you're at in the world. This is a global thing now. So that's what I'll be working on over the next 10 days ish. But I think next weekend I'm going to be running some tests to see if I can get it to work the way it's supposed to work. And there have been whispers about hosting a Kling course, or maybe not course, but an online session. We're trying to get the numbers together. We're trying to get what the cost associated is going to be. So stay tuned. If you haven't tapped into the Unleashed AI Creativity group, please do so. I did drop the subscriber link in the chat. If you need me this week, just shoot me a DM. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I'm moving and shaking. I know I'm going to be out of the shop tonight and tomorrow, so I won't be editing. I do need to just tap in with my group people because, that's our sanctuary. So I want to come love on y'all's content. So if you haven't dropped something already, please go drop it. So when tonight I come in, I can just sit and watch in the group and see what you guys came up with. It's been a super creative week for it looks like everybody's just on fire, just absolutely on fire. So keep doing y'all thing. If you need anything from me, just let me know. Shoot me a DM. Those that got my number, text me if you need something. If you don't want to do it on platform. So Deborah, I see you just sent friend request. I got you confirmed. I want to make sure we're tapped in. Anything else from y'all in the chat? What do you have going? Is there anything y'all have going on? Send me a DM. I'll go back in and look, Tina. I just got your comment. I'll go back in and look. If I did respond, I'll go back in and respond. If you can, shoot me another DM and just let me know what you need. I got you. Hello, Melanie from Germany. Thank you for joining us. We were just talking about content and volumetric lighting in our creations. Talked a little bit about Kling AI and the text to video and image to video. Talked about Luma and my experience with Luma. Definitely gave their flowers to both Shirley and Adama for bringing that to the group's attention. Special shout out to Cupid Creatives, both on Facebook and on YouTube. I really, really love what you're doing with the Kling tutorial videos. It has been helpful for me as I've kind of been experimenting. I'll say for those that are prompting for video this week, go outside your comfort zone with those camera movements. I would also say, I wonder if I have my list here. I think yeah. Okay, so this group that is on here today, get your pens ready. I'm not going to write this in the chat. I'm just going to go through a list of these producer and filmmaker styles will likely help your Kling prompts, your video, image to video, video to video, text to video output. Hit the hearts when you're ready for me to start and go. Drop a comment, say go. I see there's 6 of y'all on there. Let me know when you're ready for me to go. I want to give you an opportunity. You're supposed to have your pen and your piece of paper handy. This is one of those times. I got a list like of 20 filmmakers. I see one go. We got one person ready. Okay, so the first one for you, Spike Lee. Easy. Easy money. Spike Lee, his filmmaking style, his camera movements, his directorial ability. He's one that I studied over week 1 and 2 with regard to camera movements and just the overall feel of said piece of content. The second was Ryan Coogler. He was one that, because of his work in 2 films, Fruitvale Station and obviously Black Panther, the work that he did in Black Panther. Just how he's able to connect through film in a way that not many others are able to. He's another one that I studied over week 1 and week 2 on how I'm texting for a specific, almost emotion, if you will. But how I will, you'll hear me articulate it in the groups and in my posts in the caption as a vibe. You'll hear me say, hey, this has whatever Friday vibes, or Sunday morning vibes, or that same vibe is like the feeling, the emotion, the how I want to be able to connect with you through the content. That's the vibe that I'm describing. So Ryan Coogler has just that it factor for me to be able to connect at a deeper level. I'm gonna jump to my favorite, like Michael Bay. Like Michael Bay is just, we're far enough in. Michael Bay is the shit. He's just fire, just straight fire. I love his camera movements. I love how he directs. I love what he did with Transformers, that whole series, and like the whole slow pan around 360 and everything else is still moving in the background. Like the way that he does his camera movements is something that I like and want to get good at. So that's one for me. Christopher Nolan is another one that was really at the top of my list. I got 3 at the top of both lists that are just my personal preference favorites. So we got Spike, we got Ryan Coogler, we got James Cameron, we got Christopher Nolan, Steven Spielberg is another one. And I mean, his body of work speaks for itself. Like just pick one. Just pick one or 3 or 5. On the other side, also, I've got Ava DuVernay at the top of my list. On the other side, I have 2 separate lists, and one for me, and then one that's just a full ongoing list. So that gives you 6 top tier filmmakers this week to go back and just go dig through their work and look at even just a trailer. Go watch a 90-second trailer of how they put their filmography together in one piece of content and make you want to go watch more. It's that we're trying to learn how to refine our processes and perfect. And there is no right or wrong way, especially now that we have all these new tools. And so this gives us the ability to take some of what has been done already and include in what we are trying to now. We're at the front of the pack trying to pave the way. So it gives us an idea of here is what has already been done. Let's try this piece from this filmmaker in terms of how they describe this scene. Um, I, if, I'll go back to Ryan Coogler. Fruitvale Station, if you haven't watched it, I would advise that you go watch it. It's pretty direct and to the point. I think it's a great piece of cinema. But I watched it before I knew who he was and where he came from and his background. And then I watched it again after I knew more about his background, and I can just connect and see where he put himself into that piece of cinema. That's what we're trying to learn to do via prompting for video, is putting ourselves in those prompts. And how do we, yeah, let me put this in here. Fruitvale. Fruitvale Station. If I can spell today. I'm so tired. I've just been going all week long. Has been nuts. Station. That's the one. Great film. I think that might be the first time I saw Michael B. Jordan also. And I didn't realize the connection that they have. And I absolutely cannot wait for them to do this film on Mansa Musa. I just, I think that is going to be the film of the year when it comes out. So I'm going to give this list just one more time, and then I'm going to ring off of here, do my normal sign off. We got Ava DuVernay. We've got Ryan Coogler. We've got Spike Lee. We've got Christopher Nolan. We've got Steven Spielberg and James Cameron. The one extra that I threw in there was Michael Bay, just because I love it. The 360. Yeah, it's just sauce. It just is what it is. So we talked a lot about volumetric lighting. I gave kind of my review over week 1 through current on Kling. I gave a review and my experience on where things are at with Luma. I really like both. I like them both in tandem for different reasons, but I will continue to use both because they allow me certain creative freedoms. I'll say I did find better results out of Luma with regard to keeping text consistent through most of, if not all of the video. And I've got a couple samples that I'll post in the group. It'll probably be scheduled out for tomorrow just because I want to get this submission done. And I know I got a clear code, and I think it started raining. So I am kind of working against the clock today. So aside from that, for everybody who's subscribed, you guys got 3-a-days coming this week. So be prepped and ready. For those that are in Unleashed AI, I've got some content already pre-scheduled out for you. For YouTube, we've got clips coming this week, as well as some further refining going on in the playlist. But we've got a Leadership Lounge playlist. We've got an AI playlist. We've got shorts just about every day. So these are ways that you can find me on the various platforms. If you need to get at me, you can DM me or you can reach out to me at marshallartistry.com. We silently dropped 2 new prompt packs last weekend. So if you've been paying attention, you guys are ahead of the game. You're ahead of the game. Those last 2, those are the ones. Specifically that Queens pack. If you watched any of my videos this week, I pretty much used that Queens pack to do all of those ladies this week. So if you're interested, definitely check us out, marshallartistry.com. We got more packs coming this coming week, so stay tuned. Other than that, I wish you guys all an amazing week. Sending love to my girl, Shirley. I'm thinking about you. I hope that you are doing well. Other than that, everybody, let's catch up. Sorry to say I have to sleep now. It's 004. Oh yeah, go get some sleep, Melanie. Thank you for tapping in. If you need anything, be sure to follow. I am here to be a resource. I say it, we are stronger together. If you're not tapped in with the group, definitely go find us. We are the Unleashed AI Creativity Group. We're here to be a resource. Other than that, you guys go be amazing. And I love y'all. I'll holler. Oh, your boy getting it.